Question from the room. Boy, I've got lots of questions. John.
Well, I'm going to throw out the question I asked the previous panel. Could you list your priorities, especially since next term will be the biennial budget preparation? What will be your priorities when you sit down to start fitting the money, available money, into the available wants?
Morgan, we'll start with you.
Well, thank you for asking. The priorities of the state government should be public safety, education, and social welfare programs. And those are very broad, and a lot of things fall under, and there's a lot of overlap, but that's what the focus should be. And we should get out of the businesses that have nothing to do with those three core functions of government. And the state's responsibility is in a funding capacity. I'd like to see all these programs administered at the local level, at the county, at the city, at the district level. So on education, create a formula that says, hey, we're spending $10,000 per student. I think it's a little bit less in the state of Washington, but create a formula. Say, hey, we're spending this much money, you have this many students, and these are the needs of your students, and give the checks to the school districts because they know what's best. What works in Spokane doesn't work in Davenport, doesn't work in Tacoma. The needs of each school district is different. Same with the public safety, and the gang issue is one thing that I'll address right now. The gang problem in Spokane is very different than the gang problem in Yakima, which is different than the gang problem in Moses Lake. We can't have a universal policy that is expected to solve all these problems everywhere. I'd rather see Sheriff Ozzie solve the problem here in Spokane. And what I would do would say, hey, Ozzie, what tools do you need? How much funding do you need to solve this problem? And that's what I would do. Those are my three priorities.
Representative.
Thank you, and I think we can all agree about those basic functions of government. In terms of priorities, I would put public safety as number one. I think that's the thing that we all imagine that government is responsible for. A lot of things come under public safety. For example, turning on your tap and having every expectation that what comes out of it is drinkable. That's a core function of public safety. We tend to think of public safety in the traditional sense of law enforcement, of our courts, providing for the actual safety from crime. But public safety is everything. Public safety is making sure that old folks have the proper care wherever it is they are. If they're in a nursing home, if they're aging in place in the family home, much as my 78-year-old mother is. Public safety is a very all-encompassing thing, and I guess I would just boil it down to two things. And because public safety is also the social safety net that we have. It's also making sure that at-risk youth are dealt with so they don't become a criminal problem. Priorities of investing in the short term to prevent long-term problems. It is so wide and encompassing. I think it's about every issue that is on our minds, about every issue that we talk with our families about, with our neighbors in the grocery store line. All of those things are public safety, including education, but I will separate that out because education is a constitutional responsibility that the state has. I have a lot of respect for the framers of our state constitution because they said it is a constitutional right. It is a constitutional responsibility for the state to provide ample funding for basic education. In those days, it was through the 6th grade or the 8th grade. It's been expanded now to K-12, so it's a bigger responsibility. But we have that constitutional obligation. Within the education responsibility, we have an early learning responsibility. We also have a responsibility for higher education, and I'm not talking just about bachelor's degrees, because I'm a high school educated concrete finisher, and I worked with geniuses that dropped out in the 8th grade. And they were geniuses because they could solve problems and they could think critically, and that's what we need to do. We need to emphasize that it's a lifelong process in education. Cradle to grave, we're always learning, and we need to provide those opportunities. I know that the Corbin Senior Center here, for example, provides a lot of education opportunities for seniors on computers or to get access to information. I think those are the things that are my priorities, and I put them in those two buckets.
Crime, gangs. I would like to stop the crime and the gangs. I would take the funding that we're sending for these killers to go to our state fairs, maybe, and get some of that money back so that we could prevent the gangs from running all over our neighborhoods. I would enact legislation tougher than California's, because California has enacted new tough gang laws that are making all the gangsters flee to the surrounding states, and we are one of them. They've made it to Washington now. So if you're a gangster in California and you commit a crime, you have an enhanced sentencing. They're getting 10 years added onto every crime they commit. That is why we are getting this influx. And if we get them out of here, then the social services and stuff are going to take care of themselves. All our costs will go down. The immigrants are committing crimes. The federal government has actually sued the state of Arizona. So we are in a crisis mode right now. I don't know if Obama would like to go down on the border and just spend a night there at somebody's farm and watch them come across at night and then go after Arizona for what they're doing. So I'm out to stop all this madness and enact some laws that really count. And I am in agreement with the gentleman on the hemp cannabis. We're in 2010. Come on. This is an ancient plant dating back to Egypt and even before that can compete as a renewable resource in a billion-dollar industry that we are sitting on, doing nothing with it. Everybody is using. We have Al Capones out there making a ton of dough, people, and they're not paying a penny in taxes on it. So prohibition does not work. Legalize it, tax it, get it under control. Open up textile industries. Let's make cloth. Let's get back to making rope. Let's get over this. Open the pulp mills, make paper. Get it on. You know, get real. Quit adding more taxes. These people have paid enough. Let's get the education funded with that $500 billion. Okay? I think more like $1 billion. Come on. But I mean, enough is enough. And let's. I'm looking at my priorities will be crime, the economy. If we have people working, if we have them making money, there is not going to be crime. And also urban development. I noticed there's a lot of lots in Spokane that are blightful to our tourists. I'd like to start an urban development, like gardens in these lots, that will bring our housing prices back up and get us our social safety net back. That's my priorities.
Thank you.
Hector Martinet.
Another question from the room?